back in prime time last night with a 24-9 win over the Bucs. Jahmyr Gibbs dominated play, gaining a career-high 218 yards from scrimmage and 2 rushing touchdowns. Detroit extended their streak of 51 games without dropping 2 in a row and moved to 5-2 on the season. Jared Goff was also a part of the Lions' big night, going for 183 yards and a touchdown in the first half. His 15th touchdown of the season, 3rd most in the league. Goff also ranks 2nd in completion percentage and 6th in yards per attempt. No other quarterback ranks top 6 in all 3 categories. Drew Brees joining us live this morning right now. And Drew, I'll turn to you first. How many quarterbacks are you taking over Jared Goff in the NFC right now?
Well, I don't know if I'm taking any over Jared Goff right now, but I would say that the 2 that really come to mind that are playing at a very high level are Matthew Stafford and Dak Prescott. I think the things that Stafford has going for him is, man, he has weapons to throw to, and he's got the 2nd scoring defense in the league right now. So he's getting a ton of opportunities from those guys. Dak Prescott, the last 4 games, has 124 or higher quarterback rating. Which is pretty remarkable. That offensive system with Brian Schottenheimer and the way that they're set up to succeed, the opportunity to push the ball down the field, the emergence of George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb becoming healthy again last week. I mean, those guys were lights out in the game on Sunday, and I see that continuing. So it's fun to watch this high-level quarterback play, though, because it just makes Sundays that much more fun.
Drew, let me ask you this question. Right now, if you were put on the spot and you had to vote for league MVP, who would that be, based on the quarterback conversation we're having right now?
I mean, look, there's an argument to be made for Daniel Jones. You know, I know we were just talking about the NFC guys, but, I mean, is there a guy playing better than Daniel Jones right now? And certainly just his resurgence. You know, maybe we'll see if this continues. Certainly if it continues, he's in the conversation. Otherwise, maybe comeback player of the year for sure. But, no, look, I think the thing that impresses me about Jared Goff is the body of work, especially here over the last few years. He has been so consistent week in and week out. And a lot of that has been the environment, the culture that Dan Campbell has created there in Detroit. But, man, it takes the guy to pull the trigger, and that's been Jared Goff. And despite a lot of the defensive woes that they've had over the last couple of years, in large part just because of injury, you know, they're playing their butts off, but, man, it seems like they're always depleted on the defensive side of the ball, and they're having to go out and score close to 40 a game, and yet they continue to do it. And, yes, they've got some weapons, but at the same time, you need a guy who's orchestrating it, and Jared Goff has been that guy.
Chris, we talked about it yesterday, talking about quarterbacks in the NFL, top quarterbacks in the NFL. Jared Goff's name obviously came up. However, how many quarterbacks are you taking in the NFC over Jared Goff?
Okay, so I've got 5 quarterbacks definitively ahead of Jared Goff in the NFC. Okay. I've got Jalen Hurts, Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield. And maybe it was just...
Repeat that list, please.
I'll run it back for you. Jalen Hurts.
I need to make sure I hit.
Jalen Hurts.
Go ahead.
Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield.
Even after last night?
Even after Well, I mean, Jared Goff was equally as bad last night. Yeah. All of the empty possessions that they had in plus territory in the first half, 3 to be exact, those can't happen. Jared Goff gifting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers an opportunity to score, not going to halftime with 0 on the scoreboard. Those plays can't happen. Jared Goff, by virtue of how he played, allowed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be in that game in the second half. So he's got to be better, especially when you have a running back that gives you $150 from scrimmage in the first half. So if the Detroit Lions are going to want to get to where they want to go, Jared Goff has to improve. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have it in him, Drew, because I believe he does. He's obviously taken a team to the Super Bowl before, and he led the Detroit Lions to the #1 record in the NFC. But if you're asking me the quarterbacks that I trust the most, that I'm taking in the NFC ahead of Jared Goff, I've got 5 definitively right now.
But then I will go to you and Drew Brees, and I would say this. Let me just throw these numbers by you. 75% completion. Second, this is Jared Goff's NFL rankings entering Week 8. Second to Drake May with 75% completions. Third behind Stafford and Prescott with 15 touchdown passes. Tied for second, only Lamar Jackson is better with a 116.4 passer rating. The man has won more games than any other quarterback since last season with 20-4. Also ranked second in touchdown passes and 4th in passing yards per game since the start of last season. When I see those numbers like that, and I see Detroit flowing the way that they're flowing, because of the multitude of weapons that Detroit has at their disposal, is it possible, I'm asking, is it possible that we've lost Jared Goff in the shuffle because they've had so many weapons that we're marveling at that we're not appreciating what he brings to the table? I'll ask you that, Drew.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Nothing that Jared Goff does jumps off the page or allows you. You know, you would say some of these other quarterbacks are going to make some of these splash plays, some of these amazing plays. Jared Goff is just consistent. I mean, again, the body of work, as you look at the last 3 seasons and what he's accomplished, week in and week out, he's been one of the most consistent players, one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the league. Yeah, the statistics would say it, but just turn on the tape. Look at how he throws the ball in rhythm. Look at how he converts on 3rd down. Look at how he spreads the wealth across all of his weapons, right? Like all of these things from a quarterback's perspective are the things that I watch and say, man, is he constantly making plays? Is he putting his team in a position to succeed? Is he answering the call when they need to? Hey, defense has been depleted. I mean, if you look across all these other teams that we're talking about, man, the Rams have the 2nd-ranked scoring defense in the league. The Cowboys defense is not that impressive right now, but they're only going to get better. So for all those other guys you mentioned, Jalen Hurts, he's got one of the best defenses in the league. Jared Goff has the defense that is probably the one that he's going to have to always score the most points and match teams score for score, and they consistently do that and find ways to win games.
All right, let's go to the Bucs, who lost the game. However, the bigger loss was Mike Evans. He will miss a large chunk of the regular season because of the broken clavicle that he has. However, Chris, I'll start with you. How far does this Bucs team go without Mike Evans on that field?
I mean, I don't want to dismiss what the Bucs are capable of accomplishing because I got a lot of respect for Ty Bowles, their head coach, and for their quarterback, Baker Mayfield, all the things that they've had to overcome this early on in the season. But I'm just wondering now, with last night's injury to Mike Evans, have we reached a tipping point with the Bucs?
Yeah.
Is it too much for them to be able to overcome? Chris Godwin still banged up. Emeka Egbuka last night did not look like himself. I know Tez Johnson stepped in, and he did a hell of a job, Stephen A., being able to make some plays. But it's starting to feel like attrition is taking its toll on this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. And with a team like the Carolina Panthers nipping at their heels, in addition to all the other teams around the NFC, starting to feel like the rest of the field is catching up to where the Bucs were. You had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers #1 in your power rankings a week ago. It feels like they're so far from that after last night's loss.
I agree.
Particularly with this Mike Evans injury.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, they haven't had Godwin. Mike Evans is down there. Egbuka didn't look like himself, like you said. And Baker Mayfield, as good as he's been and as good as he is, those weapons obviously help. Without them, you're limited. It's just that simple. But, so I'm just looking at it from that standpoint. And I get you. I'm totally with you about Tampa Bay. This sliding. I think it's almost like their opportunity was there and they missed it. Not it's due primarily to injuries more so than anything else. But Detroit just looks too strong for you to have those problems. Seattle, San Francisco, L.A. look too strong for you to have those problems. And I just look at it from that standpoint. That's where I'm at with it.
And Drew, how far does this Tampa Bay?
The one thing I'd say about Baker Mayfield, though, is there's some guys that just find a way to make those around them better. And I think Baker Mayfield has become one of those quarterbacks. Look at the way that they won a lot of these games early in the year. Yeah, you could argue that they could be a 2-win team right now, but they're not. They're a 5-win team, and that's because, in large part, because of Baker Mayfield rising the level of play of everyone around him. And look, Mike Evans hasn't been healthy. Chris Godwin hasn't been healthy, and yet he's finding ways to obviously elevate the play of Emeka, who is going to be their star receiver for a long time, and that's the guy who's getting the lion's share of the targets now. But Tez Johnson coming around is one of the big play threats. Shepard, you've got all these weapons that Baker Mayfield is going to understand the skill set that these guys have, and then how to incorporate them into this offense and allow it to run the way it's supposed to run. Defensively, that defensive scheme by Todd Bowles always gives them a chance, because they are always going to have a pressure scheme that is going to help create opportunities for the offense. It's a little bit of live by the blitz, die by the blitz, right? They're going to give up some big plays at times, but they're also going to create opportunities for that offense. I think Baker Mayfield's the kind of guy that knows how to take advantage of those.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield has found ways to win at this point in the season. However, you can only do so much when you got guys going down like that with injuries on the field. All right, Drew Brees is sticking around to tell us what he thinks about this Eagles offense and if they fixed their issues after looking strong against the Vikings. And Jeff Saturday's Colts had the best record in the NFL, and he's taking over the A-list. Find out if Indy comes in at #1 coming up after the break.